Keep in mind that this video is a revised and re-uploaded version of something I made 9 months ago, so please forgive me if my voice acting is somehow even worse, and I had no idea how to end a video. I very randomly decided to make this video on why Mystery Incorporated is the very best Scooby-Doo cartoon. Now, doing research for this video, I found out that a lot of people share this opinion with me. However, I was very careful not to watch anybody else's video on this cartoon because I wanted all the opinions in this video to be my own. And I believe what makes this cartoon so perfect boils down to about 3 main points. Those 3 points are deeper character development, the plot, and the ending of the show. Starting out with character development and deeper relationships. Something that this show does better than any other Scooby-Doo cartoon before it is continuous character development. You see, in the past shows, characters may change here and there, but they never really change from how the episode begins to how it ends. They never learn much. Their character never develops. It's just the same Scooby-Doo formula. And this show has character development better than any other Scooby-Doo show or even really Cartoon Network show I've seen in the past few years. Another thing this show does really well is it's not afraid to introduce side characters. It doesn't fear the audience being lost on which character is which. Speaking of side characters, something that this show introduces is the parents of the members of Mystery Incorporated. Parents are important, and I feel like in a lot of cartoons and TV shows they are missing, especially in Scooby-Doo, but in this show, they have a lot to do with the actual outcome of each episode. Realistically, I mean, of course parents would. There's actually a subplot throughout several episodes about Fred being adopted and him figuring out who his real father is. Speaking of Fred, I love what they did with his character in this show. He went from being one of my least favorite characters to being like my second or third favorite character in this show. Something that never made sense to me in the original is how is Fred, some random jock, able to create these very complex, perfect traps just out of his head in like 15 minutes. What this show does is they just make him a dork. He's completely oblivious to Daphne's advances towards him. And one of his biggest hobbies is he just really likes traps. He's pretty much an engineer. He knows everything about all these different mechanisms that he can create, and it's just really smart to just kind of like play off the idea of, hey, this guy's really good at traps for some reason, let's just make it one of his hobbies. Remember how I said a lot of cartoons don't incorporate parents into the shows? There's another thing that a lot of cartoons don't really incorporate either. Relationships. Sure, a lot of cartoons do kind of hint and allude to relationships being there, much like the original Scooby-Doo cartoon, but they never exactly make things official. This is not the case for this TV show, because there are several relationships between Fred, Daphne, even Velma and Shaggy, and sometimes they break up and have problems and they date other people. And it's just a little bit more grown up for this show, which I like. Moving on to a smaller subcategory I wanted to talk about, I had a few things relating to character designs that I wanted to mention. I know I compare this show to the original a lot, especially in this video, but the flesh tone of the eyes is just a design that they took straight from the original, and I feel like it really reminds me of that. But the basic design isn't exactly what I wanted to talk about. What I did want to talk about is how in most cartoons, when a character goes through some kind of physical change, it'll probably be null by the next episode. It'll be completely back to normal, everything's the same. But the character design changes in this show, however, stay for at least a little while. There's an episode where Shaggy goes to boot camp, he gets his hair shaved off, and it stays like that for quite a few episodes. Actually, it starts to regrow a bit. Another example of this would be when Daphne leaves Fred and leaves the group. He's a mess, he grows this really weird beard, and it stays like that for quite a bit. And we move on to the next section, the plot. First of all, since I didn't have anywhere better to put it, I just wanted to mention that a lot of the jokes in the show actually don't fall flat. It's actually a pretty funny show. One of the reasons I value Mystery Inc. above almost any other Scooby-Doo cartoon is that it keeps the Scooby-Doo formula, yet has an overlying plot. Now, let me just run through the Scooby-Doo formula real quick. This is what I like to call the Scooby-Doo formula, the formula that every episode of almost every Scooby-Doo show follows. It starts off with the gang going to some random town, and then they talk to some new characters that are introduced. But oh no, there's trouble afoot, and much like some unhappy parents, they all split up. Then they build some kind of trap that Shaggy and Scooby probably accidentally trigger before the bad guy actually triggers it, and then they catch the villain and they find out that it's one of the characters that they met earlier in the episode. And like I said, one of the things that makes, Mystery Inc. so good is that it keeps the Scooby-Doo formula, which works so well, intact while still having an overlying plot. And it has several actual subplots. They include but aren't limited to who is Mr. E, the past Mystery Inc., and even this weird demon key thing is very Lovecraftian. Which brings us to the point that can make or break a cartoon, the ending. A lot of cartoons have very good endings. Gravity Falls, Avatar: The Last Airbender come to mind. And Mystery Inc. does not disappoint. It falls into the same category with a very complicated ending. Basically, the cartoon becomes a Lovecraft story. Yet there are Lovecraftian-esque characters in this show, which is a bit dark for a kid's cartoon, and I have no idea how I actually caught on to it as a kid, but I know that I noticed it. They chalk it up to everything evil that's been happening in this town, all the greed from everybody in Rubber Mask is all because of this one evil entity, a real Cthulhu-looking dude. Obviously they defeat him, but then they start to realize that the world around them started to change. Basically, they created a freaking alternate timeline, one where none of the contents of the show ever happened, and that Crystal Cove is a happy little place with no mysteries, but it is a place where they don't exactly belong. And then Mr. E is revealed to be the Lovecraftian writer from one of the first episodes, and he recruits them to all go to his school and solve more mysteries. A very Gravity Falls / Lovecraft ending, but something that makes it so much better, like 10 times better, is years later the creators of the show released that this entire show was all a prequel to the original, which explains all of the parallels to the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You cartoon, and I just love that detail. They tied it all together very well, and that is one of the biggest points of why I think that Mystery Incorporated is the best Scooby-Doo cartoon. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below. This video took forever to make, which is why I've been gone for a week and a half or something. So, give me a like for my efforts, or maybe don't if you didn't like the video. And as always, if you happen to be a new viewer and enjoy my content, feel free to just subscribe. Because you can subscribe for free. Yeah, it's neat. Hope you liked the video. Yep. I told you I didn't know how to end a video. Or make a video, really.